Coming up, Leasey 10 is launched and Shaun leaves the shed.
You're listening to Double Time, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Priest.
Hey, Shaun Priest, happy new week. How are you, sir?
I am a beautiful, thank you, Stephen Scott, although slightly worried now. Shaun leaves the shed. Is there some news? Should I expect a memo of some sort?
No, I think the big breaking news, and it is breaking news today.
Breaking news.
Yes, is you left the shed to go outside. And I believe unaccompanied as well. This is unbelievable.
I know, yeah. No eyes attached whatsoever. Well, me and Sarah went, but basically, yes, that's no eyes. So, yeah. I got to say, went to see Chris McCausland last night at the Lowry in Manchester. Chris McCausland, obviously, as most people will know, the comedian, the tiny dancer, and just, as it turns out, a great guy. Had a great night. And I've got to say, if you haven't seen Chris, he's touring the UK now. Absolutely fantastic. Definitely check him out.
Yeah, Chris is the blind comedian. He was the one who won Strictly Come Dancing, which is like I think the US equivalent of, or the UK equivalent of, was it Dancing with the Stars?
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah, he won that. And, of course, he's had his own comedy career for a long time now. He also had a big show on Sky at Christmas time called Bad Tidings. So, for people outside the UK who may not be aware of him, it's worth pointing out that he's a big star in the UK.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to say not just in the UK. He is
international.
I've got to say, though, as you mentioned, he's a blind comedian, right? And you're always a little bit nervous about, okay, how's the blind thing going to be handled here? Is it going to be something that, as a blind person myself, I'm going to go, okay. Because we've all had the general public blind jokes, which they think are hilarious, that are, okay, yeah, I've sort of heard that 1,000 times, and even if I haven't, it's just not funny. But how many fingers? Yeah, I'm over here.
Actually, how many fingers one I don't think is a joke. I think they genuinely are testing you. Because that's how it works, right? That is the international way of discovering if someone is actually blind or not, by holding up fingers and getting them to count them.
Oh,
what if you just said 4 every time, and then you get it right like 50% of the time? Does that mean I'm not blind because I guessed it?
That's how it works.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but I've got to say he handled it perfectly. It wasn't, it wasn't like the main point. He didn't make an issue of it. It was absolutely fantastic. I've got to say.
Do you know what I like about him? I think he's a funny guy, but he's a nice guy. He comes across as a nice guy, and you get a chance to meet him and spend a bit of time with him.
Yeah, I mean, he the reason we were able to go on our own was because he arranged it that someone, met me from the taxi at the drop-off outside, took me backstage, I met him, and then we got taken to the... He just totally looked after us, and you're right, you know what, the blindness thing just sort of disappeared. He's just a really funny guy. It was, fantastic.
I know what you mean, though, because it sometimes feels, especially among blind people, right, that sometimes the jokes that we make as blind people about ourselves to sighted people, and we all do it. I think we all do it.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, Chris this is his career, right? This is what he does. But I think in our lives we do it as well. And I think it's because we want to put other people at ease, which is kind of ridiculous when you think how many times we've said on the show how many sighted people are quite happy to put us ill ease in a sense.
Well,
it's like they want to ask 1,000 questions about our medical conditions and whatever else. And I get it, and I know people are curious and all of that, and we'll make jokes about it, and it's fine. But it's when you hear a comedian do it, you wonder, or you at least know they're going to do it, even if you haven't seen them yet, and you kind of think, is this going to be like I kind of know all these jokes already, so I'm not going to find it as funny. And
exactly.
He actually seems to transcend that. I think he does it really well.
Yeah, the blindness isn't like the unique selling point of the act.
Exactly.
Of him. It's just, hey, he's just really funny. Yeah, fantastic. I got to say it again. Thanks, Chris, and I also got to say thanks to Graham and John, who really looked after us there as well.
So let's just zoom back a little bit, or go back a bit. So let's say 2 hours before you left the house, how much did you want to cancel the whole thing?
Do you know what? Not at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was strange.
I don't mean because of Chris. Just to be clear, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just the whole idea of going out of the house.
Well, I was fairly okay with it. I thought it'll be absolutely fine. Of course, I had the privilege of talking to Chris and saying, look, can someone meet us there, and having that, which, normally you wouldn't have, right? But no, it was absolutely fine. I was even surprised. Sarah gets more anxious than me when traveling, and she was absolutely fine as well. Sometimes if it's something you really want to do, even though all of us still have those, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? Sometimes once you push through it, you find, what, that was worth it. It was, as I said, it was a great night.
It's funny you say that because on a similar vein, but a little bit different, I was out last week. My wife and I had gone to see a friend of ours we haven't seen in a long time, and someone we'd been friends with at school, and we were really pleased to get the chance to say hello to her. And it's funny, the whole time, like leading up to it, we were really looking forward to it, and I'm the same. I'm really nervous, not as much nervous, but anxious when going out of the house and going to the
we always
city,
play out
especially
the worst case scenarios. That's the problem.
So I have to tell you this story, right? So we're going to a restaurant, and she's picked the restaurant, but we're going to meet her, and she feels quite comfortable in this particular place. So we said that's fine, and she picked a place which I think is the best thing you can do when you're meeting people is try and find a restaurant. If you're going to a restaurant, find somewhere that kind of accommodates everybody, right? In terms of what they sell, the food they sell. There's nothing worse than when I meet a friend and say, we're going to Japanese. Oh, God. I've never eaten Japanese. I've no idea what Japanese people eat. I love the Japanese people. I'm sure they're wonderful people. But who does sound like?
Yes.
Does sound like him?
Yes, you do.
Love the Japanese people. Best people ever. Ratings very high. But I don't know what they eat. So I think everything is going to terrify me. And I'll probably enjoy it, yes. But I just don't know what to eat. So anyway, this place, general options, you can have anything you want, So my wife and I were sitting about an hour before we're due to leave, and I'm saying, okay, I'm going to download, because there was an app for the restaurant. You download the app, you can book. Once you get there, you get your table number. You can book through the app and pay, and then they bring you the food. Mm-hmm. It's becoming more popular, I think, these days. This started in COVID with the whole QR code thing. Remember, you would have the QR code on the table and you'd scan it, and then you could book.
You don't have to talk to anyone.
That's right, exactly. I mean, you're basically doing all this through a phone with someone standing 20 feet away from you. Can't I just give you the order and I give you money? Remember those days? Give people actual money and then they would come to you and talk to you. But instead, nowadays, it's all through an app.
My daughter goes to this particular chain of pubs, and they use the app. Her and her friends use the app.
But the same one, I'm guessing.
Yes, yeah. Order their food and drinks, and it comes to the table, and pay for it, and never talk to anyone, basically, other than thanks for dropping off the food.
Well, I don't mind mentioning the name of it. It's Wetherspoons. That was the name of the...
Wetherspoons,
yeah. Wetherspoons is a chain restaurant of pubs, I guess, all through the UK. And... So I downloaded the app. Now, I was absolutely determined that I wanted to do this on my own. My wife was saying, okay, look, I'll get the menu. I'll see if I can zoom in on it and read it. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Let's get the app and we'll do it properly. And then, of course, my wife jumps ahead. Everyone does this. It's the kind of thing, everyone does this. There's always someone somewhere that will always try and jump ahead. And I'm like, okay, you read the menu. And she's like, oh, the starters. I'm like, don't spoil the ending of this terrible book I'm about to read. I just, I want to do this myself. So anyway, I get the app downloaded, and there I am trying to figure out. And of course, I'm kind of being a bit cocky about it. I'm like, yeah, I'll do this. It'll be fine. No problem. Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be fine.
Yes. Do you know who I am?
Yeah, exactly. I'm Stephen Scott. I host the tech show. And all I'm getting is bonk, bonk, bonk from the phone as I'm swiping. And I'm thinking, oh, God. I got the close button, I think, or whatever it was at the top, the menu, the name of the app, whatever it was. And then it was just bonk, bonk. So I thought, okay, I'll turn on screen recognition. What have they done? What have they done to screen recognition? I can't get it to work. It was recognizing nothing. So I couldn't get that to work either.
It rarely does, I find. But
well,
okay.
At least it sometimes gets you somewhere, I
always try it.
Yeah. And you've got to sometimes do it by explore by touch rather than swipe, right? Sometimes it won't grab focus properly. So you have to kind of just find an anchor somewhere on the screen to just... And once you've got that, you can kind of work from there. Couldn't get that to work either. Couldn't get anything to work. So in the end,
Inaccessible app.
Yeah, inaccessible app, which is not good, right? So that was the first thing. So then I go onto the website, And I thought, okay, I'll find it on the website. So find the website. I put in the location we're going to. I find the menu. It then says download the menu as a PDF. Oh, God. So, right, okay. So I'll try this. So I get the PDF downloaded. I open it up. And of course, this is the thing, right? It may be that, yes, the PDF was actually accessible in the sense that I could navigate it. I couldn't make head nor tail of it. And of course, it's a big menu. There's lots of things on there. It's going to take me about a week to swipe through.
No. All you got to do then is throw it into an AI app and then question the AI.
So this is where reality comes in, right? This is what I always say to people, and you know this as well. There's the reality factor every time. So exactly as you say, my first thought is be my AI. Or if that isn't giving me the results I want, if I'm a little bit unsure about whether it's giving me the right results, I'll throw it into Aira because I can do that. I can upload into the Aira Explorer app. Is it Aira Explorer or Aira Explorer? I can never remember. But the Aira app, essentially, I can upload it in there, and then when I call an agent, they can see that and they can help me out. They can talk me through it.
By this time, it's midnight, and
that's it. Then the next day, my friend's gone home. It's pointless. So as all this is going on, and you're right, time is ticking away. As all this is happening, the taxi arrives. So we go out, and it's a local company we use, and it turns out it's a guy I haven't seen in ages who I've known for a while, and I'm like, oh, it's you. So of course we get in the car. My intention is to sit and query this menu all the way in. We end up talking to him. So the end result is I get to the restaurant. What do? Order a burger.
Because you didn't manage to find any...
Couldn't read through the menu. Just, I mean, it was going to take you too long. And I thought, the only way to solve this is really just to be able to... What blind people need, if there was one superpower, I know you all think we can hear perfectly or whatever it is, or hear better than anyone else. You know the superpower I want? I want to be able to pause life. Just hit pause.
Just to control time.
Just
okay.
Stop. Yeah, if we could get a button.
Stephen Scott wants.
What was it? Was that a movie? I'm sure it was a movie around that. Click or something. We can't remember. But anyway, you press pause and the world stops and it gives me the time to be able to do this, because that's the thing. It's the extra time factor.
Or... the app could have been accessible off the...
That would be useful.
Off the bat. That would be nice. I mean, this is a massive chain. I'm sorry. Where's the Domino-style outrage that this app isn't accessible?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hopeless. And, I will be writing in to the company and I'll be letting them know. We'll see what happens. But, it's just ridiculous, and this is the reality of it.
You could stop being so stubborn and just let your wife read you the menu.
Yes, and absolutely. And I agree with you. That is true.
Try to think of an argument against it.
No, you're right. You're listening 100% right. And look, there's always someone who will help us out, right? But it's just sometimes, it's just some days, some days you think, no, I don't want that. I want to do it myself.
And you ended up not doing it yourself.
And ended up getting
ordering
nowhere.
a terrible burger just because they're going to have a burger.
Well, I had chicken burger, so, it's not too bad.
Okay. All right.
Did taste like it'd been washed in chlorine, but we'll just move that along.
Oh.
It was delightful.
A great advert for Wetherspoons.
The company was wonderful. That's what I'll say.
Cool. Well done. Well saved. Okay.
Yeah. So that's you up to date with our weekend.
Welcome to Double Tap, listeners.
Yeah. So
it's
the
a
show
tech
where
show, honest.
People talk tech, apparently. So let's kick off with the big story of the day, which is, of course, that Leasey 10 has been launched. Leasey 10, for those of you who've been following along and taking notes, Leasey is up to version 9. Thank you. And so now they're coming out today.
Well, version 10, arguably.
Well, today they're coming out with version 10, yes. So let's catch up with Brian Hartgen, who is the co-owner of Hartgen Consultancy. He's with us to tell us more about this launch. Brian, great to have you on Double Tap.
Thank you very much, Stephen. It's lovely to be part of the podcast, and thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have you here, and I'm so glad to learn all about Leasey 10, which launches today. For those that don't know much about Leasey, you've maybe heard about it in passing, you've heard the name, you've heard others talk about it, but you are kind of always nervous to ask the question, what is this thing called Leasey? Can you summarize it for us? I sound like I'm asking GPT, don't I?
Well, We'll come to that in a bit. So you have mentioned Leasey on quite a number of occasions, and thank you very much for that. Essentially, there are two strands to the product. There is a module for complete computer beginners. So many of us do remember the times when we got our first computer and we just didn't know what to do with it. So Leasey Basic, as we call it, presents you with a structured menu system, which allows you to carry out some of the most common tasks that a person would want to do with a computer, such as write a document, work with an email, listen to the radio, and so on. So it shields you from the core aspects of Windows, like the start menu and the desktop. Now, it has to be said that the vast majority of people do not use Leasey Basic because they want to use all the other features that Leasey has to offer. And there are so many of those. It's getting more and more by the version. And we call that Leasey Advanced. And essentially what we're doing there is giving people a number of things. First of all, a raft of different features to work with text more easily, to be able to tap into various services in a more accessible way, such as news services, the weather, Google, Amazon, parcel apps, that sort of thing. And the other aspect of Leasey Advanced is to make applications more accessible. Good examples might be WhatsApp, for example, YouTube videos, that sort of thing. So that's a very broad overview of what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible... can we call it an app? I mean, I suppose we do call it an app.
Well,
right?
I suppose we do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a suite of the, as you say, these scripts which just make using JAWS so much easier. And you'll probably have heard me say, Brian, on the show, when I first heard about Leasey, I thought, oh, hang on, this is for the advanced guys. This is not for the type. This is not for me. This is not for someone who is just using their computer for even the basics. But I was so wrong. I was completely blown away by how much more efficient it made using JAWS, how much easier. I mean, WhatsApp is one example that I've talked about quite a lot. And when anyone says to me, what is it you love most about Leasey? I always say, WhatsApp, 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 because it just makes it so much easier to use. I'm in and out of that app all the time. And
whoa, yes.
That's the key to Leasey, isn't it? It's just making everything just that more efficient.
I think it's making things more efficient. I'm a bit of an efficiency nut. I do like things to be as efficient as possible. And I think particularly when people are in the workplace as well, that's very important. But also, as well as me developing the product, I am supported by a very dedicated group of beta testers. And they are an experienced group of men and women who are not reluctant in coming forward and saying, this could be made easier. Could you improve the user interface? And I want them to do that. I want them to help guide the product and shape it so that we get something really good.
So version 10 is coming out. What's new?
Well, what isn't new? This is one of the most significant updates that Leasey has ever had, and I'm only just getting started this year. We're already underway with the next update. I guess the big thing, or one of the big things, is ChatGPT is integrated into Leasey. So from within any application, you can call up ChatGPT and you can ask it questions. Now, there are obvious advantages of doing this rather than using the traditional website. You can integrate it with what you are actually writing. So if you're writing a document, for example, or an email, and you want a particular part of it to be rephrased or summarized, you can select that text and you can ask it to do just that, or perhaps spell check it as an example. One of the bugbears of recent technology is how difficult to use spell checking tools are. Well, that's something that ChatGPT can help with. One of the things, though, that people find particularly difficult when using an AI tool like this is to couch the prompt that you send to ChatGPT ChatGPT in language that the AI understands so that you get the most from it. So what we've got is a list of pre-prepared prompts that you can select from to achieve common tasks. That is actually particularly useful. You can also save and load conversations. So if you are chatting with ChatGPT over a prolonged period, those conversations can evolve. And you might want to come back to it another day. Well, you can save that. When you load it back, it provides you with a very, very brief summary so that you understand what you were talking about before. You can read the full thing if you want to, but it's just enough so that you can pick up the flow again. You can also do a number of other things. When you get a response back, you can export it to various applications, such as Microsoft Word or your favorite text editor. You can copy it to the clipboard and so on. And the other two big things, I think, as far as ChatGPT is concerned, you can create images based on a text description if you want to. And I do like the way that, if I can say so, that I've implemented this, because the idea is that you put in a description that you would like. You can also, though, put in a name for the individual image. Because when you are doing this kind of thing on the ChatGPT or the Google Gemini website, whatever you're using, it kind of gives it a generic name. And if you're downloading a number of these images, it can all become quite confusing. Yeah. So the best thing I thought to do was to give the file a name first. And then you know exactly what it is that you're looking for, and it will create the image for you, and it will download it to your computer right away. And the other thing that a lot of people are interested in is audio transcription. You can transcribe an audio file into plain text, and it will return that for you. It depends upon how long the file is, of course, as to how long it takes, but typically it's a couple of minutes. But the other thing that you can do as well is, if you have an audio file which is spoken in a language other than English, it will translate it for you back to English as well.
So powerful, isn't it? So powerful.
It is.
And it's a great service, ChatGPT, but it is the accessibility challenge. But it's more than that. I mean, like you're picking up on, just the prompting. I struggle with that sometimes. I'm trying to get it to do a certain thing. And it's a little bit like Google at the beginning. Remember when we had to sort of think, how will I search for this thing?
Yes.
We couldn't quite figure out the right way to ask the question.
Yes. What do you put in quotes? What don't you put in quotes? Yeah.
That's right. And I guess you can do things like image descriptions as well. If you wanted to create alt text for an image, say for social media, you could do all that as well.
You could certainly do that, and obviously you could. You can't upload an image via Leasey at the moment, because essentially it's a text-based API that we're working with. But hopefully that will change, because one of the things that I would like to do is to be able to make it so that you could upload a Word document, for example, to do things with. But I'm sure that will come. This is my first crack at this one.
Yeah, but I think what you're touching on there is the most important stuff. People are looking for the information and looking to prompt to get that information, and that's the key at the moment. So, these are the most important parts of all of this. Now, in regards to ChatGPT itself, I mean, there are various tiers. Well, there's the plus tier, really, and I know you can get enterprise and so on for that. Is that something you can implement there with the API key? Is you're essentially connecting the accounts?
Well, what a user would typically have to do is to get an API key if they wanted to. We have full instructions in the documentation as to exactly how to do that, step by step. Now, as part of your Leasey purchase, you can have an API key. We will give you one. Okay, so that you can use it if you want to. But during the beta testing, it did actually become very clear that some people wanted to have their own API keys. Yeah. And that is absolutely fine. If they want to be responsible for the billing and the administration surrounding that, of course, they've got the absolute right to do that. So you can input your own API key if you want to.
Okay. And what's the cost of all of this then? So you can buy, at the moment, you can buy Leasey, and then if you already have it, like I do, you can get an upgrade, right? You pay the upgrade price.
That's exactly it. And the cost for that is £35, which is about 45 American dollars.
Okay. I mean, that's not a lot of money when you think about it. And the amount of work you pour into this, Brian. Not enough people say this in our community, but seriously, well done and thank you for the work you do.
Thank you very much.
It is honestly a fantastic application. I have been singing its praises, which did surprise a lot of people, because especially those who know I'm a Mac guy, right? So they're like, why is he using this? But I'm like, honestly, it made me enjoy using the computer more. And it's a great toolbox to play in. So definitely worth checking out Leasey 10. Always worth checking out Leasey. Brian Hartgen from Hartgen Consultancy, thank you so much for coming on to Double Tap today.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
There you go. That is Brian Hartgen there, who was joining us from Hartgen Consultancy. What an amazing service. Do you have anything like this on NVDA? Is there anything equivalent to this?
No, I want this on NVDA. Yeah. I mean, it's so strange, this one, though, right? Because it's almost a hard sell, because when you describe it, I mean, Brian did a great job there. But, I'm one of those people, well, hey, I could save money. I could do that myself. Okay, I may have to open another app. I may have to do this and that. But it's not until you actually use these features that you realize it's just so much easier. Those features of being able to do something, the WhatsApp example that you give, yes, okay, I could use it without it, but it makes the whole workflow, it makes the whole process, and you mentioned it even makes it enjoyable in a lot of cases.
It does.
It gives you features at your fingertips as a screen reader user, which, I think this is fantastic. The more people I talk to who think, I've tried this after your recommendation, actually, Stephen, and say,
you're welcome.
It really changed it. It's something I knew existed, but it's not until you actually use it you realize its value. So yeah, absolutely. I got to echo what you said about, well done, Brian. I think he's doing a great job.
Absolutely. Listen, another company that's doing some interesting stuff at the minute is Envision. I don't know if you've been following this story, but and it's a little bit confusing because Meta have just announced these new Project Aria 2 glasses. And of course, as soon as people read that headline, they go, oh, new glasses are here. This is amazing. But that's not the case. That's not what's going on here. What's happening is they have launched a new project. This is a research project. This is ultimately whatever is coming down the line is going to be the work that's based off these glasses, off this project.
This is R&D. This is research and development. Yeah.
And they're kind of publicly talking about it, which is interesting. So Envision have been mentioning that they've been collaborating with Meta to enhance the accessibility, in particular of navigation. And this is quite interesting, following the development of the Aria Gen2 research glasses. Now, this partnership that is between Meta and Envision focuses on creating a personal accessibility assistant that leverages the advanced sensor suite inside the glasses, which includes RGB and eye tracking cameras, spatial microphones, and on-device machine perception capabilities. Now, these features enable precise indoor navigation by utilizing, wait for this, simultaneous localization and mapping, also known as SLAM, which allows users to map and navigate environments without relying on GPS. Now, additionally, spatial audio cues can guide users to specific locations or items, enhancing the ability, of course, to move independently in various places. Now, in a video posted by the Project Aria team, we hear from Shaun, who has been trialing the glasses and the software, as well as Karthik from Envision and members of the Project Aria team at Meta.
It's one of those things that you don't know what you got till it's gone. And that was kind of the case with my vision when I lost it at 31. The challenges that we face, just simply with visual navigation, you lose a level of independence with that.
For a lot of people who are blind and have a low vision, independence almost always meant access to information. Aria enables us to combine technologies like artificial intelligence and spatial audio that make the visual world accessible for people who are blind or have a low vision. It was amazing to see how a lot of our feedback was incorporated in building a Gen2 device, and also by keeping accessibility as one of the focus points.
This is a truly collaborative effort between Envision, Lighthouse San Francisco, and Meta. We really want to go out and co-design with the community and try to learn from their experience They actually want to try out these technologies. They're really excited. Sharon has been testing these features, giving us early feedbacks. GPS just doesn't work indoors. We need a different mapping and navigation technology.
Usually when you listen to sounds over headphones, they'll sound like they're inside your head. Spatial audio is a technology that lets you play sounds over headphones that seem like they're coming from a real location out in the world. And all you have to do is follow that sound.
You put the glasses on and you just talk to it like you talk to a friend.
Hey, Meta, help me pick up some apples.
Certainly. Follow the sound to locate the apples in the store.
It'll start playing a beacon sound from the location within the store.
The glasses can actually map as they are being used.
We can allocate different points and label it with items that should be there in that space.
Apples are here.
You can ask any kind of a question.
What apples are here?
They have Granny Smith, Cosmic Crisp, and Honey Crisp apples.
I'll get Granny Smith apples. Help me pick up red onions.
Taking you to red onions. Red onions are here.
Is this a red onion?
Yes, this is a red onion in your hand.
Just to have the freedom to walk into a grocery store and navigate to what I wanted. It was efficient, it was fast, it was just amazing. That's all I need today. Take me to the checkout counter?
Sure, guiding you to the checkout.
This isn't ready to ship out the door this second. But what's exciting is for how many people this appears to be working really well.
Without these partners, we would have not been able to do what we did today.
Thank you. Have a great day.
When we look at someone like Sharon, pick the groceries that she wants on her own, that emotion is incredible.
So that gives you a sense of what is coming down the line with Project Aria. What's your thoughts there? I'm kind of blown away. I love it.
Yes, no, absolutely. I've got two questions. Well, I suppose the main question is, I'm surprised they're talking about it now, and I wonder why. Because look, I am always slightly cautious because we tend to get carried away with this sort of sneak future tech. Because this sounds absolutely amazing, but this isn't something we're going to see, in the next 6 months. So again, this is all about, I'm going to use the word potential. But I've got a question about. Let's just clarify something here. Was that a predefined map of that store, or was that done on the fly? And in that case, how did it know where the apples or onions were?
Yeah, see, I think it's a combination of factors from what I'm reading into this. It's not clear whether this. I imagine that this store would have been mapped first, or at least a map would be available. But then it's also using the sensors to guide you beyond that. So it's kind of a two-pronged approach, I guess.
Which we've seen before with apps such as Waymaps and Good Maps.
Yeah.
Right? And I mentioned, I thought Good Maps was absolutely fantastic when I tried it out. The only issue being the companies and stores and places need to supply those maps, which is where we start to fall down when it comes to the useful.
But what you're talking about, though, what you're talking about is via the phone, whereas this is the first time we're seeing it in a wearable. So that technology inside the wearable is doing the work. Now, what I don't know about Project Aria is it its own standalone, like I think about Google Glass? Is it its own system? Or is it something that's connecting to a phone? And where is the brain, essentially? Is it in the glasses, or is it inside the phone? Because that does...
Does it matter? I do not care. I want to know where it works. If I need to wait for a business or a place to be mapped before I can make use of this technology, then I could be waiting a hell of a long time.
Yeah, you're 100% right, because look, this is the challenge we face, right? You've been to hospital recently, I've been to hospital recently. Yeah. They are notoriously awkward places to get around, unless you know exactly where you're going, and that means you have to have been there before. And actually, it's even harder in hospitals now because finding people to help you is
impossible.
It's impossible. And you're often reliant on, I go to my local hospital, there used to be a reception desk where people would be sitting, you could ask for assistance, they would get someone to help you.
If you can find it. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I knew where that place was, right? I knew where the reception was. Point is now, there's no one ever there. No one ever sits there. So
I know.
I go in and I think I have no idea where I'm going, and it makes me feel actually quite anxious going in because I think,
Of course.
and I can't use Aira or Be My Eyes or any service because as soon as I walk through the door, the signal's gone.
Absolutely right. You know what? The only consistent or the constant the hospital is the smokers at the main entrance.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
They have
Which is
become
so ironic, isn't it?
my helpers. No, it's absolutely true. I'm going to do a little shout out here that Manchester Eye Hospital. I mean, no mapping available and no one there to help as you walk through the door. And they're
eye
almost
hospital.
At the eye hospital, they're almost surprised that someone who can't see has turned up. And it blows my mind. And if somewhere needs to be mapped and made available, through technology, it's somewhere like that. And yet it isn't. And that's kind of my worry with this sort of technology. But hey, look, one of the problems here is as well, if we had the ability to map, as I'm walking around the eye hospital, if I can, do something with my phone, run an app or whatever it may be, and make a map and make that available, as a shared cloud experience to other users, that would be a huge step forward as well. And this is where these wearables with all these sensors come in. That could be a possibility down the line.
Yeah. What is it with hospitals, in particular eye hospitals and medical staff in there, and lack of understanding about blindness? What is that about?
Yeah, I'm almost nervous to say it, but they were absolutely awful. I had people pointing, "Can you take a seat over there?" Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't see anything. Can someone help me? And then someone shouted, "Yeah, it's over there." Again, pointing and, doctors coming out, shouting your name, and then immediately going back into their room and just leaving you with no idea where that came from. I'm sorry, it's
that's my
terrible.
favorite. Yeah, my doctor's surgery is like that all the time. They come out, they shout your name, and they go away. And so I'll find the door to get through, and it's like little corridors, little corridors going off all different directions. And they're like, "Oh, you've been here before, though, don't you remember?" And I'm saying, "Yeah, do you remember every single place you've ever been to ever?" I mean, yes, I do map very well, thank you. I do it in my own head. It's what I have to do.
It's what we're constantly thinking about.
We are overthinking all the time. That's how we get around. That's how we do things. I can find my way to a store and a shop in a mall because I can find where it is because I know it was. I mean, if it moves, I'm stuffed, right? If it's now upstairs on the whatever. Okay,
I kind of forgive that in a general practice, in a general doctors, where maybe they don't see that many visually impaired people. But I'm sorry, an eye hospital.
But no. To pick you up though on something you said before about guide dog users, when I will say to you, well, look, not everyone knows that a guide dog is what a guide dog is. Not everybody fully understands it all the time or understands the laws around it. And you always fight back and say, no, they should know. Well, I mean, I think on a human level, and I go back to this point about being human, can't we look at each other and understand that, okay, this person is blind, they're using a cane, they are, clearly walking towards a wall, and, they're not at that moment, they cannot put two and two together?
A lot of them don't even, my local GP just has a screen on the wall, as we talked about before. It flashes your name up and you're supposed to go there. So,
anyway.
yeah.
The Project Aria thing sounds good.
What were we talking about?
I'm trying to feel positive today. I don't know why. I'm just trying to keep my mood up.
It sounds fantastic. But again, this is in development. This is
really
a
important
project.
to say that. Yeah, and they said that themselves. They said that themselves. That this is a project that's ongoing. It's not ready to ship. But what we do know is that Envision are in there at this point, which I think is really good news. And Be My Eyes are in there with Meta. That's the key. And I sometimes feel, if I'm being brutally honest, and this is nothing to take away from the work that's being done, but sometimes it does feel a little bit tokenistic that, disabled people tick. We've covered blindness. There you go. That's the disabled people looked after. You know what? A part of me feels that's not great, but also part of me thinks, if we get the result we want, I'm happy with that.
If we don't have those tick boxes, it doesn't happen.
And the reason I kind of feel that way, if I'm honest, is because I look at the state of Facebook's website, and I look at inaccessibility there, and I look at challenges with other Meta products, and I think, you're doing well over here. You're doing well in the future. Can we do something now?
Yeah.
Get Facebook working on the web, like for a start. I don't mean the mobile thing. I'm not interested in a mobile. I'm not interested in going to a special website. I want to go to facebook.com like everybody else does. And I want to use that website using keyboard shortcuts that you've already implemented. And all you have to do is just turn back on.
Are they still not working?
Still not working. I was on there just yesterday and couldn't get it to work. It just absolutely drives me mad. Okay, let's move on because I'm trying to pick myself up.
Sorry, that was an upbeat story that I totally torpedoed. Sorry about that.
Not at all.
Carry on.
Look, that's real life, right? Look, Microsoft have released a Mac app for its Copilot AI assistant, which now comes pre-installed on Windows 11 and Windows 10 PCs. The Copilot app for Mac is available for download from the Mac App Store, but it requires an Apple Silicon chip. So if you've got an Intel Mac, forget it. It is also only available in the US and the UK as the time of recording. That will hopefully change soon. But don't worry, Canada, because I don't think you're missing much. I'll talk about that in a second. But it says, just like Copilot on the web and Windows PCs, the Mac app allows users to ask questions using natural language, try the new unlimited Think Deeper feature, and talk to the assistant using Copilot voice. There are some things that you cannot do. Uploading files is one of them. You can't upload files to it. You can upload images, though, and it is good. It's actually the first app I've been able to get image descriptions via one of these new apps rather than using the website. So that's pretty good. I can upload an image and get that. But here's the downsides. So the accessibility, and I'm surprised to say this, although maybe I shouldn't be considering what we just said, but the accessibility of the onboarding of the app is pretty horrendous. Now, nowadays, when you get an app, especially on the Mac, I don't know if it's the same on the PC, you get these splash screens that essentially take over the entire screen. And you have to log in, or you have to sign up, or you have to put in your credentials, whatever it might be. And it's like an onboarding process to get the app set up, ready to use. Tab is your friend. I would strongly encourage it if you're using it on the Mac. That it's not the usual way to do it. You would normally VO left and right using your voiceover keys and left and right arrows. But on this, I would recommend highly the Tab key, because otherwise you probably won't get very far very quickly. It also gets lost within its own splash screens as well. So sometimes it's reading the previous one when you moved on, kind of thing. So I don't know how it all works, but clearly it must be in there in the code somewhere, so it's kind of stuck. So you can tab out of it. You can get through it as long as you use the Tab key. Not brilliant. Once you're in there, so plus points, I can get to the chat window. Once I've typed a message and I've said, I've asked my question, I can then shift tab into the message window and actually read the messages and arrow up and down and read them. So that's good. And it sounds like that should be the easiest thing ever, right? That should be the most obvious thing to be able to do. But, the ChatGPT app, you can't even get access to that at all. You can't access that message window in any way, unless I guess you use the mouse, potentially. I don't know. Haven't tried that. But, the ChatGPT app on the Mac, not great. This one's a little bit better because you've got access to the message window, which is kind of what you need access to. Otherwise, you're just shouting into the void and you have no idea what the response is going to be. There is no way to get to the button which allows you to open up previous chats. So if you've got chats already in Copilot, you cannot get access to them in any way. The button is not visible to VoiceOver. Cannot find it. So, so there's a few issues. Every button otherwise, other than that one, is labeled. And if there are other buttons on there, I can't find them. But certainly you can upload images. You can talk, as it says, to the Copilot assistant, which does work and is good. There are 4 voices available in the UK one. So I guess they're rolling out these voices. They don't seem to be the same ones I have on the PC. One's English and 3 are American. So I don't know. They're obviously rolling this out. But that's kind of where we're at with it.
It sounds terrible. Can I ask a question about so you type your question and you get the response. Does it speak the response, or do you need to go to the message list?
You have to go to the message list. I don't think there's an option for that yet.
Is there a voice conversation mode? No.
Yes, you can. You can talk to Copilot in the way that you can on the PC, the way that you've been doing, the way that I've been doing on the PC. And it works fine. It works absolutely fine. It's the same process. And of course, once you're in that mode, it's a lot easier, right? Because you're just talking to it.
Well, yeah, it depends on what you're doing, right? If you're just asking questions, I love talking to AI. if you're, trying to get a text file out of it or rewrite some text, obviously you want to be able to copy its responses.
Well, that's one thing you can't. Well, you can, I guess, you can copy it. There's a couple of ways.
You got to do the workarounds though.
Yeah,
using screen reader history or copy the last utterance.
Exactly, the last phrase, copy to clipboard. That's the kind of get out of jail card on that one. There's no copy button. So on the ChatGPT website, you can find the copy button, and obviously you can get it from there. I will say, if you're using ChatGPT on a Mac at the moment, or you're using any of these services at the moment, the one that seems to work the best out of a fairly low bar of options is ChatGPT. It's the most accessible. So that's where we're at the moment.
Isn't it? I mean, the cutting edge of technology, AI, the bleeding edge of where we are at the tech evolution and revolution, and the accessibility on most of these apps is just terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, what is going on? Yes, I must say. I was told that actually on the Windows side with the ChatGPT website, the problem was with NVDA. Now, I haven't tried it with Jules, but NVDA stopped working or made it virtually impossible to use the website. But Narrator, I can't remember who gave me the tip now, but I used Narrator absolutely fine. And then actually, once I was in there and turned Narrator off and turned NVDA back on, NVDA behaved fine as well. So really strange, but still, we shouldn't have to jump through these hoops to use these services.
Just a little tip for you if you're looking for a way to try out the new Llama models from Meta. So that's their product, essentially. That's their ChatGPT equivalent. You can now get it via an application called VO Llama. VOLLAMA, and you can go off and get the VO Llama app, and that will basically give you an accessible chat interface, which is very good. I mean, it's brilliantly done. It's from the same people who brought you VOCR, so immediately you know it's going to be good, and Chai Kim is behind that. And yeah, just a wonderful interface. So you can download. It's a little bit more involved because you've got to go off. It's not too complicated. I thought it was going to be a nightmare, but it wasn't. It's actually really simple.
I thought Ollama was almost a test bed that you can load in any AI engine or large action model.
Yeah, there are other options. Yes, you can get other different ones.
Yeah, it's not just for Llama. You can load in ChatGPT. You could load in anything, as far as I remember. But yeah, it's nice that they've actually made it accessible.
Yeah, although I uploaded, this is the bane of my life. I have a bus timetable for my local bus here. And this bus timetable is only available on a piece of paper, from a guy, who will give you it on a Tuesday if you're asking nicely around about 3:30. It's ridiculous. But anyway, the point is I got the thing and I've got it scanned, and honestly, 2025, you would never believe it. But I got it and I uploaded it to the VO Llama because I thought I'll try it on this. So I uploaded it to using Llama to try it, and it did. I asked it to give me a list. I just wanted a list of all the times it would leave my village. What time does a bus leave the village? It came up with an awfully long list, and I thought, you're not entirely convinced about this. And there was also I knew one particular time, and it wasn't on it. And I thought, okay, I don't trust this at all.
Well, you know what? This is sort of out of our comfort zone, messing with this sort of platform. This is mainly based for running AI locally on your device.
That's right, because you're downloading the whole thing. But yeah, you can't do ChatGPT that way at the moment. That's not going to be possible. It's too big to download and run locally. I guess you would need a server of your own to manage that. So not advisable. But I mean, look, there are options out there, and they're forever coming along. And a lot of people are playing and testing things, and that's why these little tools exist. But honestly, I think for ChatGPT, I mean, of course, we heard from Brian earlier talking about ChatGPT integration into Leasey, which of course means JAWS users get access to it more easily. I think that's the best way to go at the moment. I'm trying to keep up I'm trying to be positive today, and every time I think about something, I then get negative again.
Sorry, you're doing a great job. I will say, Copilot, when you can actually use it, is a great service. I have moved on to Copilot from Pi, which Pi was my first and only love for the longest time when it came to AI. But most of the team behind Pi have moved to Copilot. So there's a lot of similarities, and I think it is a fantastic AI when you can use it properly.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, on the Mac it's fine. If you want to just use the voice mode, it's actually perfect. So getting past that onboarding screen, once you get past that, you're in. on that point, so I've been going to ChatGPT voice mode a lot recently, and I bought myself one of those Zoom recorders, the Zoom Essential range. So there's the Zoom 1.8E, there's the 4E and the 6E, all have different amounts of inputs on them. I really just wanted a handheld recorder that didn't necessarily have lots of inputs and connections. So I was about to buy the 1E, and then I found out there was an H2E, which if I actually read the emails that Zoom send me from time to time, and lovely
or
Samuel
checked in your loft,
Green over
you may
there.
actually have one.
Yeah, well, I did have a Zoom recorder years ago, but it was entirely inaccessible. One of those ones, you press the button and hope. And so I got this, and I've been playing with it. And of course, it has the voice guidance built in. Now, interestingly, I think on the earlier ones, you had to do a little bit of work to get the accessibility working. It was a bit of a process, whereas with this brand new one, the H2E, the H2 Essential, and this may be the case for the others, I can't speak to them, but when I opened it up and I turned the unit on, instantly started talking. It was there right off the bat.
Oh, that's nice.
So
Okay.
nothing needed done, no firmware updates, no extra accessibility requirements. There are options. I noticed on the website, based on the instructions were set as if it wasn't going to be that way, but it was. So
Right.
that was
Maybe there's
interesting.
been an update, yeah.
But what I did was I asked Copilot if it could talk me through the layout of the recorder. And I said, so I've got a little screen here. I said, there's 4 buttons below it. Can you tell me what they are? And so it did. And I was able to test them. And every button was correct. And then the buttons below that, they were correct. And it told me where the headphone jack was based on it being, And I was having this conversation with ChatGPT to learn how to use this thing. And I thought, this is nice.
Isn't
This
it,
is
though?
really nice.
It does feel so natural and so cool. And that the only thing is, did the information it was telling you line up with the actual
No, it did.
physical buttons? And
Yes.
okay.
Yeah,
Well,
because I was a little bit nervous about that. Yeah, because you always think, is it hallucinating? Because at first I had to correct it because it told me there were 6 buttons at the bottom. And I'm like, no, there is definitely only 5.
Yeah.
So, things like that. So then you have to kind of push it to, because I don't know if there's other ones have different amounts of, I don't know why it's got so many buttons on it. It's a very simple recorder. But what I love is everything is accessible on it. Every button you push, it tells you what's going on. I'll do a little review of it on the show at some point. It's a great little recorder, very portable. And
Sounds
really,
good.
really nice. Okay, I want to mention before we go a couple other stories because some interesting stuff going on. A new website's been launched. This company by the name of Good Trouble, who I've not heard of, but they've unveiled Able to Play, an accessibility-first games discovery platform. So it will launch March 10th to help gamers with disabilities find accessible games. Amran Nobri is the founder of Good Trouble and explained more in a video posted on YouTube.
How do you know if you can play a game? That's the question that started this whole project. Currently, it's really hard for gamers with disabilities to find games that support their needs. And that's hours upon hours of trying to use search engines, looking at different reviews. My name is Armand Nobari. I founded a studio called Good Trouble, and we're making a new way to discover accessible games called Able to Play. Able to Play is a website where gamers can discover games based on their personal accessibility needs. It's super easy to find a game on Able to Play. You add your needs and preferences to your accessibility profile. It's completely private and secure. And then when you browse games, you'll get a personalized accessibility score on every game that shows you exactly how well it meets your specific needs and preferences. Personally, as a cancer survivor, I live with a disability, and around 1 in 3 gamers do too. I invite you to join us on Able to Play, and I hope you discover a new favorite game because everyone deserves to play their way.
Yeah, sounds really good. Great way to find those games because we've talked about this before, right? Challenge of finding the games. So wonderful. Listen, also a quick mention of our research panel here at AMI. I get shouted at because I don't mention this enough. So yes, the AMI research panel. Look, if you want to be involved in shaping the future of AMI, the programming here, if you really don't like double tap, then this is the place to tell people, apparently. Yes, you can join the AMI or tell people you love it. You can do that too.
Please do that.
Yeah. You can join the AMI research panel. All the details are at ami.ca. For longer studies, you will be compensated as well. Well worth knowing. But if you want to take part in what we're doing here and make sure that you get your say on the programming we make here at AMI, then get involved, ami.ca. And just one final thing to mention, Shaun, and that is, of course, that we are coming to CSUN. Yes, CSUN's Assistive Technology Conference for 2025. We will be rolling in next week. So as of Monday, we are going to be on the ground in Anaheim, California, to tell you all about what is going on at the CSUN Assistive Technology Conference in its 40th year. Cannot wait, because it's going to be an amazing event, a great opportunity to catch up with a lot of friends, but also learn about some really interesting tech. One of the great things about CSUN these days is that it's really becoming the place where, you know, new technologies, new assistive technologies are announced. So we will be bringing you like on, you know, by the minute breaking news as stuff happens. Because
real time on the ground.
Yeah. It's going to be great. It's going to be really, really fun. Are you packed? Have you even thought about a suitcase yet?
No, I haven't. I've noticed that you're, you know, getting all your tech together. I keep getting little messages saying I'm trying this, I'm trying that. Someone's getting organized. No, I haven't done anything yet. That's me.
Managed to get my True Free O2. I mentioned this to you. I got the True Free O2 earbuds. These are for the Mantis. I've got, you know, it's that thing you do this thing, right? I don't know if you do this. I buy like things that are for specific purposes like that. So these headphones are for this. Now, I will say that these replace the existing ones I had that I've lost. So because I don't know, I put them down somewhere and they are gone as far as I'm concerned. So needless to say, they are gone, never to be found again. But no, we're really looking forward to coming along to CSUN.
Can't wait.
It's going to be an amazing event, and we will, of course, be bringing you all the news here on Double Tap. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, hang on, are you not going to talk about the politics of accessibility today on the show? Well, we decided because of all the news today, we're moving that into tomorrow's show. So join us for that and lots more on tomorrow's show. Thank you, Shaun. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.